It's not a game. If you've kept up with video games at all over the last decade, you've probably heard this criticism leveled at anything from walking simulators to linear story driven experiences. For the longest time, whenever I heard someone say this, I got on the defensive. Surely their definition of what a game could be was too shallow. After 2 years of cinematic trailers, we've finally seen what appears to be Death Stranding gameplay, and it's moving boxes. Moving boxes and the occasional body across vast landscapes. The initial reactions to this have been overwhelmingly hesitant. I've seen some claiming that they're waiting for the actual gameplay, and others relieved we saw a character pull out some sort of laser rifle, as if being able to shoot things would make this game finally make sense. Since this trailer's reveal, Kojima has confirmed that there will be combat in the game, but has also stressed that players will quickly find it not to be the ideal approach in most situations. But here's the question. What if you couldn't shoot things in this game? What if the entire game was playing a delivery man who moves goods and sneaks past the occasional demon? Without typical action, is it even a game at all? And does it need to be? Look no further than choice-driven narrative games like Detroit Become Human, where, despite all the player's agency in the events of the story, people insist on letting you know it's not a game and instead a interactive movie. Of course, this is an oxymoron. Movies do not allow interactivity, and the second you do, you're operating in a different medium. But I won't deny that the phrase game also feels ill-fit to describe Detroit Become Human. Game. A form of play or sport, especially a competitive one played according to rules and decided by skill, strength, or luck. Let's pick apart this definition. A form of play or sport. Play. Activity engaged in for enjoyment and recreation. Sport. An activity involving physical exertion and skill in which an individual or team competes against another or others for entertainment. Especially a competitive one, played according to rules and decided by skill, strength, or luck. Let's apply this to a video game. Super Mario Bros. One plays Mario for enjoyment, no doubt, perhaps even in some form of sporty competition with the game world or the scores of others. There are rules. If Mario touches an enemy or falls, you have to go back, reach the end, and you move on to the next level, run out of lives, and it's over. Between skill, strength, and luck, Mario is built around skill. Look no further than speedruns to see how it can be perfected.
Yes!
Congrats, Mario, you are a game. Arguably, most video games would fall into the skill category. Elements of a game could be built around luck, like the dice rolls in Mario Party, but you'd be hard-pressed to find a video game based around one's physical strength. Now, how about Detroit Become Human? Played for enjoyment, most likely. Rules, you form the story through choices and quick-time events. What about skill? Of course, your ability to hit the correct buttons in QuickTime events could count as skill. However, the story carries on whether or not you succeed. Furthermore, what happens if you decide you want to get the worst possible outcome? Then your success in your goals would be determined more so by your lack of skill. This begs the question. If progression is guaranteed and you are unable to get stuck or fail, can it fairly be said that skill is an essential part of the experience? This is the problem that arises when your game has no fail states and no game overs. A good problem in my eyes. I made a whole video on checkpoints theorizing that they're holding back the medium, but perhaps the more proper assertion is checkpoints are keeping games games and nothing more. As long as success is clearly defined and you must succeed to progress, you must partake in a game. And games are fun. But looking to other artistic mediums, there's more to be explored than just fun. Film's mechanics have been explored to extremes. Editing and shots and sound have been used for fun, but also to annoy, to bore, and to confuse. The pure beauty of a shot has been known to make one cry. Can the pure beauty of a video game mechanic make one cry? Limiting game mechanics to fun would be like limiting cinema to blockbusters. One would miss Tarkovsky's hauntingly beautiful compositions, Chantal Akerman's all-too-real long takes. What even is the game mechanic equivalent to Jean-Luc Godard's invention of the jump cut? With all of this in mind, perhaps those who decry it's not a game are right. By the strictest definition of what a game is, certain modern experiences exist beyond those bounds. But where they are wrong is their assumption that such a statement is inherently a critique. It's not a game may be true, but it's one's limited expectations of the medium that frame it as a negative critique. Maybe a better critique would be that the interactivity is limited, but even then you have to consider the goals of the developer. In Detroit Become Human's case, the interactivity is all to serve the branching narrative. Something like a repetitive combat or shooting mechanic would be contrary to this goal. Perhaps this unearths the increasing futility of the term video games. It sets people's expectations in a box, and when things exist outside that box, they seem to be acting against the medium rather than expanding its potential. What we are truly dealing with is the medium of interactivity, which can be used to make games but is much more liberating in its scope. It could also be said that the continuing label of video games trivializes the medium and is largely responsible for the doubt that fills older generations and outsiders, looking down on players for wasting their time playing what is nothing more than a game. The term completely ignores the medium's potential for storytelling, artistry, and world building. Ask someone who knows nothing about video games what they think they are, and I doubt these terms will come up. Kojima has already spoken about Death Stranding's lack of a game over screen. Much like Detroit, Death Stranding continues even if you fail. The extent this plays into the experience is unclear, but between that and the seemingly mundane interactions, I have no idea what Death Stranding is. But I hope it's not a game.